Today I'm going to show you how I use nothing more than natural direct sunlight to create a high-end beauty image all about skin. I'm Lindsay Adler and I'm a portrait and fashion photographer in New York City. In today's photo deconstruction, I want to show you how you can break the rules and create something beautiful, something elevated. Now, the inspiration for this photograph is right now in the beauty industry. There's really a trend towards a lot of texture, natural light, direct sunlight. It's more of an authentic, organic look to the beauty photographs. And so in my portfolio, I had a lot of images that were very polished, all in the studio. And so I wanted to add a little bit of a twist, add something different to my work. And so my idea was to take the subject out on location, shoot them in direct sunlight, and create something that's very sunny, summery, all about skin. So this is the final image that I ended up with, but I want to take you behind the scenes and show you exactly what it took to make this image and how I broke all the rules. So let's take a look behind the scenes. And this is actually on the street outside of my New York City studio. And as you can see, it's a mess. There are cars and cones and garbage and all of that. And instead of just shooting wide open to try to blur that out, I wanted to create something that was a little bit more clean and polished for the background, so that it maybe had a studio feel, but still with natural light. And so what we did is we actually brought a piece of paper background downstairs with us. And so this background is Savage Universal Cocoa paper. It's this beautiful brown background that I often use when I'm trying to photograph skin tones. All right, so now the other thing you'll notice is that I'm photographing my subject in direct sunlight, basically in the middle of the day. It's about 11:30 in the morning. I learned with portraits that you're not supposed to do this at all. You shouldn't put your subject in direct sunlight, and you definitely shouldn't shoot them at noon. And the reason why is that direct, hard sunlight does a couple things that can be a challenge. First of all, the hard light, what it does is it emphasizes all the textures on the skin. So any blemishes, any unwanted texture, it really emphasizes those. So going into this, I knew that the sun would give me that summery look, but I'd probably have to retouch a little bit more. Now, one of the reasons that you don't want to shoot in the middle of the day is because the sun is so high up that what happens is you get dark shadows in the subject's eyes, or really long shadows underneath the nose. So knowing this, I made sure to pose my subject with her chin slightly up towards the sky, so that what it would do is it'd fill in the light in the eyes. Now you'll notice I have my subject kneeling, and that was for two reasons. The first reason is that by her kneeling, I don't need to have a really big piece of paper as a background. We could take something more portable. If she stood, I'd have to bring a background stand, or I'd have my assistant stand up on something, so it made it easier for that reason. But the other reason is that by her kneeling and me at a slightly higher camera angle, when I'm at that angle, she has to lift her chin up to me, which catches the light from the sky. So it's kind of a twofold benefit. Next, let's talk about the camera gear. I'm shooting with a Canon 5D Mark IV and a 24-105 lens. Now, when I shoot on location, I often grab my faster prime lenses so I can go wider open, 1.2, 1.4, but I'm not blurring out the background. Instead, I just have that paper. So I actually preferred the flexibility of having a 24-105 zoom. I'm shooting at 85. I could have grabbed my 85 prime. The results would have been really similar. So this is the scene, and as I'm posing my subject, I'm trying to create interesting shapes with the position of her arms and the way that I'd layer them, rather than just a headshot. That way, by including her arms, it would also make it even more about skin, not just about her face and her beauty. I'd see a lot of skin in the scene. So I captured this image. Let me show you what it looked like raw out of camera, like straight out of camera, and then we'll see a little bit of the post-processing. All right, so straight out of camera, this is the image that I captured. And looking at it, this is what I'm analyzing. Here are some of the problems. First of all, as we already knew, there's a lot of texture to the skin. You see any blemishes, any texture, not her fault, it's from the sunlight. So I know that I'm going to want to remove that. I'm also going to want to smooth out the highlights. You see the highlight down her arms, make that a little bit more even. And I see a few other distractions. I don't think the ring adds anything. The elbow sticking up at the top, I think maybe I'll remove it. It kind of breaks up that pretty smooth line. And other than that, the background, I don't think matches her skin tone, right? It's too orange. So I know that I'm going to want to either desaturate that background or shift the color, maybe add some more red so that it matches her skin tone better. So this is straight out of camera. Now let's take a look at my retouch. So you'll see I brought the background more correctly into the right hues. I cleaned up the skin, and I did so using frequency separation and localized dodging and burning. I also contoured, so adding highlights down the arm so everything was a little bit smoother. And then I really like the clean lines, which is why I removed that elbow that was sticking out. And I also brought in the ear a little bit. I just thought it was breaking up the smooth flow that I had in the composition there. So this is my retouch. Again, here's before and here's after. But then there's the next part of retouching. Retouching in my brain is kind of in 3 parts. There's the initial processing of the raw, getting the right contrast and color. Then there's the skin cleanup. And then there's color grading. And color grading is when I play around with contrast and color. And it's a little bit more to create mood or creative effects. So you can make something look more vintage or more high contrast. So when I color grade, it's all about the purpose. What was the idea of this shot? So as I said, this photo is all about skin, and I wanted to create something very warm and summery. So the first color grade that I did, I'm going to show you 2. First color grade I did here. You can tell what I did is fundamentally add warmth or yellows to the highlights. And it's not necessarily correct skin tone, but it definitely communicates warmth. That's one way that you could color grade. Let me just show you one other. In this second color grade here, what I did is I added a lot of contrast and I desaturated the photo. So this has a lot more pop and a lot more drama to it. So there's no right or wrong answer. I think the one that I'm going to go with is actually the first one with the warmer skin tone, the warmer highlights, because this image is going to go in my portfolio under skin. And I think this really makes the skin look healthy and warm. But for a beauty editorial for a magazine, maybe I'd go with the second color grade. It all depends on the purpose. Some magazines, this might be a little bit more of the style that would be appropriate. So that's why whenever you go into a shoot, you have to keep in mind what the end result is going to be. So in the comments, let me know, which one do you prefer? Color grade number 1 or color grade number 2? So warmer, or the one that's more contrasty, a little bit more desaturated. Now, in this photo deconstruction, what I've shown you is that you can break all the rules, but when you have control, you can make something beautiful. So I shot in the middle of the day in direct sunlight, but created an image all about beautiful skin. If you've enjoyed my photo deconstructions, be sure to give me a like and subscribe.